So yesterday Sailor Moon Crystal premiered, and if you haven't seen it, it is available for streaming on Crunchyroll. That's where I watched it last night, and in honor of it I am wearing pink nail polish and my Sailor Moon shirt. With this review I will try to be both fangirly, because there's a lot of that, but also be a little critical and give a little bit of my input about the discussion between the comparisons between the two. First of all, I cried 3 times. I cried at the very beginning when we were seeing like the moon and a little hint of Serenity and Endymion. I was like and then I was stuck. And then the second part where she was doing her moon prism makeup, I was like and then towards the end when we saw the first glimpse of Amy and the raid, I was like and I don't even fuck with Mercury like that, even though, you know, all the scouts are my girls, but I was just really like, this is so, there was a piece of me that was in awe that this was actually happening, because I know for a lot of fans we were like, even though we heard about this was happening and we saw the screencasts, we're like, until we see the episode air, we don't believe anything you're saying. So for me to be watching this was just surreal in and of itself. I really like, because this episode is so close to both the original anime and the manga, it's hard for me to say like it's good because I like what it's based on, because I don't think right now is the point where we're gonna get a lot of deviations from the story, not this episode. That's why I think the people who are like they were found it underwhelming or weren't into it or said that the original is better, this episode is so closely tied to what the original was like that I feel this is not the episode to really see how good or bad the series is going to be, except in terms of animation, because it's so similar. And much like Brotherhood and the Fullmetal Alchemist 2003 anime, or Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Z Kai, we're not going to see the major differences until we get to certain storylines. I think that, since I don't know if people who are watching this video are also have watched the original, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but I feel like as we meet more of Scouts and the rest of the Moon Kingdom storyline starts to unravel, Dark Kingdom storyline, excuse me, starts to unravel, that's when we're really going to see the sort of emotions and responses and how they do that within this new anime. Because people talk about how they found Usagi to be less emotive animation wise in comparison to the original anime, and I don't think that this episode is the best episode to judge. I think that they're just not going over the top, because when Usagi would cry it would be like mountains of tears, and I watched the original as well just to see if like I found one to be better than the other, and I honestly didn't. I think it's just a different response, because like here is how Usagi was crying, you know, in the original, because I have this book, Meet Sailor Moon, and that's how she's crying. It's very over the top because that was the style and the way it was done then, and it's a little bit toned down here, and I don't think that's going to be a very huge problem unless they do that at scenes where emotion is very key to showing what's going on. So I don't have that problem. I do think that the CGI is off-putting. Not bad, but just because of how the rest of the episode is animated, it's very jarring when the CGI bit transformation comes in. So while I'm excited to see it for like the different transformation sequences, I hope that it doesn't go into other things, because I think that the hand-drawn animation is fine. I like the animation. I think that with a few exceptions, the color palette is lovely, and I think that there are going to be some really amazing scenes, especially the Moon Kingdom. Like once we get to see the Moon Kingdom, that color palette and scheme will come in handy, because it's very sleek, it's very angelic. I know people feel like it's too neat and crisp, but I think that fits with the overall, you know, style, and I think it's very Utena. I think that even when we saw the little flower decoratives at the beginning, we saw different characters, that was such a shout out to Utena and the animator who worked on both Sailor Moon S and Utena, so I love that. So I think that it will really work best when we see scenes where that animation will come out at the strongest lengths. Right now it's still not there, but I think that we will eventually get to see it. There were some hair choices I did not like. I did not like Haruna Sensei's hair being changed. It looked very odd, because it looked like a very like washed out purple to the point where it almost looked silvery, and it was weird to me. I wasn't really a fan of that. I also do not like that it's implied that Queen Serenity has blonde hair, because in the opening credits you see kind of like a hint of her, and you know it's her because she doesn't have the same decorations that Princess Serenity has. So that I don't like. I wish that they had used this reboot as an opportunity to make both Serenity and Princess Serenity's hair silver, because I think that that's something I really would have loved to see it. Maybe they'll actually go all out with it later on because it's going to be an unveiling, but I want her hair to be silver. If not, I'll be a little upset about that. But again, I realize that it's probably done because people so much relate her to having blonde hair in the anime that they probably don't want to mess with that. I loved the scene between her and Mamoru. I love his tuxedo. I love how he's wearing a tuxedo and she's like, what's wrong with me, you freak? But again, that was really well done. I like his animation. I like that his presence in the battle was toned down. It wasn't as dramatic as it was in the original anime. And overall, I feel like, just from what we've seen so far, it's a good start. It's a good start towards what it could eventually become. And I know that some people are talking about the major complaints was the CGI and the animation palette. Some people are still not kind of into it or used to it. CGI I get. The animation style overall I like. The opening and ending songs, I like the songs. I like the animation for it. I think that there are some parts where it's kind of odd, but overall I think it's very cute. It could be better. I will say that. I do think that they could have put more money into the product to make it a little bit sleeker, make it more, because I feel like sometimes the best animation you'll see will be in the opening and ending credits. I think they could have done more of that. I think that they probably will as they go further along. But overall, I found that it was good, but I think there's definitely room for improvement. The other thing people were talking about is filler. About how what they liked about the filler was how it gave the scouts more personality, gave them more storylines of their own. My thing about it is two-sided. Yes, the filler did give scouts certain personality traits and fun lines and things of that nature. Two things. One, I don't think all those were done for the best. I think that I'm not going to miss episodes that were about them being boy crazy. I'm not going to miss episodes about, when, Usagi was going to that gym and it was run by Jedi and she was fat. I'm not going to miss when he opens that radio show and all the girls are calling in so they can get kind of like this wish fulfillment, thing. I'm not going to miss those fillers because those fillers, while cute and did give you funny moments, because I think like when she, goes to the radio station, that's when she uses the disguise pen for the first time, and that was a really fun moment where she's like, you put on her glasses and she's trying to like shimmy when she just falls because she's a klutz. That was cute, and it was a moment of just showing her klutziness, but I feel like we don't need to keep having episodes dealing with that because it doesn't add to the overall story. All it does is make Jedi look super incompetent, and it doesn't need to be done. I feel like the quicker pace can work, and I feel like those scenes were great. But we already have them. You can look them up. You can get your bullet copy of the original subbed anime. We don't need them in this reboot. It's the same thing that people will say that they hated Kai because it didn't have the exact same dialogue, exact same print. We already have that. There is no point to a reboot that copies and pastes the original. There is no point in a Sailor Moon reboot that's going to do the exact same thing over and over again. If you want those traits, you can watch the original. I think this is going to be a great opportunity to show a different side of Sailor Moon and the Sailor Scouts. Like, I am super excited for this anime because I'll get Sailor Mars back. Because I hate the original anime's version of Sailor Mars, where she's boy crazy and all that kind of stuff's going on, and she has that stupid guy that's with her. I don't even know his Japanese name, but his name in the dub was Chad. Hate that dude. And how she and Usagi would have this antagonistic relationship, and she dated Mamoru for a while. What's the point of all of that? There is no reason why we need to rehash those things. They weren't even that good in the original, and that's not to say that I don't think that there are things that I'm not gonna miss. I think that there are relationships and bonds that were used in the filler that were great. Like, I'm gonna miss that Naru is not going to have some of the larger arcs that she did in the original anime, but at the same time, it was like for that one season she had a really strong arc, but then we never really got to see her do much ever again. So they're just gonna have her be the side character that Usagi has to save sometimes. That works for me. As long as they keep her around in the background and she still hangs out with Usagi, that'll be fine. I don't need for there to have a whole arc for a character who's not going to have real development later on. Here's the thing about filler. it will give you good character moments, but they will not help make the story stronger in the long run. So for me, I don't mind the lack of filler. I think the Scouts have distinct personalities, and the episodes where they're introduced will give you those personalities, and you'll see them when they interact with each other and have discussions and how they are animated. We don't need whole episodes to reiterate things that we already know about them, and we had those already if we need them. So overall, I am excited about Crystal. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for stylistic improvement, for animation improvement. I think that if they can make the attacks more individualistic, you know, they can take away from sort of stock animation, that would be great. Am I going to be disappointed if they have stock animation? No, because I like stock animation. I like the little cues that it gives you that something's about to happen. So I like the way Usagi looks. I think that it will look even better when she's in different forms, depending on how far this adaptation series will go, if it gets renewed for the Black Moon saga and further on. I hope so, because I'm thinking of how good Neo Queen Serenity will look with this new palette. Oh, she's gonna look so great. She's gonna look beautiful. Like, I was going through my Meet Sailor Moon book, and I was looking at the, like, first of all, their clothes is gonna be boss. Like, I can't wait. But just like looking at Neo Queen Serenity, looking at that flawless face. Like, look at that. She'll look so good with this fresh palette. It's gonna be amazing. Like, of course, I do miss the original transformation sequence. Like, I look at it and I just think, like, I loved it. But at the same time, if they can, you know, make it just like a quick switch up like they do in other Idol Girl animes now, that will be a good improvement. I think this is a good opportunity for the franchise to grow, to have people get more interested in the manga, and to see sort of the other side of what Sailor Moon could be. Because while I enjoy the anime and I think it's fun, and I'm not going to diss it in a way of saying that it wasn't good, but I do think it was not as true an adaptation of the source material as it could have been. And just like the 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist anime, I can enjoy it for what it is, but still feel more attachment to Brotherhood because it gives me what I loved about the source material itself. So that's how I feel about Crystal right now. We'll see as it goes further on if it'll be better. I am excited to see how they do the introduction to Mercury, because in the original manga there's floppy disks and we do not have those anymore. So let's see how they update it to the 21st century. So anyway, I liked this episode. It was not outstanding, nor was it subpar, but I was really excited just to see it, and I think that if you're a fan of it, you know, of the franchise already, it was a great moment of just like nostalgia. We'll miss the original Moonlight opening song, but I'm happy.